It's like a pizza crunch without the batter. It's like the wood juice without the water. You'll never get the knickers off her. What the fucking chance? Premeditated batter. Premeditated batter.
So what's happening? Welcome back to PP Podcast, Premeditated Part Podcast. I fucking done it. I thought I fucked it.
PMP, what is it? The PMP cast?
The what?
I don't know. Can't work it out.
Premeditated Part. PMPP. That's too many fucking. Premeditated Part. I'll just say that, innit, man?
Great to see you, mate. I would like to gift
mate.
you a candle, mate.
Mate, fucking thank you, mate. I've been writing at my candles, but it's beautiful. I love it. I love the design, everything. I see you gave me the last candle. I never really bothered with scented candles before that. Then I was just having it lit not at night with the lamp on. So I've got a few in the room. My Maggie does, but see in my bedroom, I'll show you. It's just the one window. So I've got like these like units in front of the window. I'll stick it up there now. I've got these units in front of the window, right, and it's just one window. So when I open it, it's a lot of wind comes in. So I have to open it wide because at one of the windows it opens out.
Right, got you.
So you need to kind of open it a fair bit to get a bit of wind in. So I end up fucking I can't mind. I think I might have fell asleep. I can't mind what happened. There was a candle, but I always blow them out. I always mind blow them out because before I got out the jail, like these firewomen came in and spoke about scented candles will fucking fuck you up. You go to sleep basically.
In the jail?
No, they came in to talk about when you're out. You don't get scented candles in the jail. Just see like talk about. I see if you fall asleep and scented candles, they can end up catching fire.
No, hold on. So they were and these firewomen.
They came in to do like a talk.
In the jail?
Aye.
That just seems like such a strange place for fire
safety. They go to like the jails, they go to like schools and all that. It's all the places. It's funny, man. You can think all the guys in the jail might smoke, and then when they get out, they can't smoke in the jail, so you get vapes. But when you get out, you might fall asleep with a fag or a joint in your hand.
Got you. That's just unexpected.
I think it's just that's what it is. Just I think they just go about all the places and kind of do that.
That's class.
But so they were saying about scented candles, so I was kind of like, right, turn off all my fucking sockets and all that. I blew out my scented candles, but I woke up like the next day and see, I had like my PlayStation and all that before I had my living room set up. I had my PlayStation, my telly and all that, so there was a lot of wires on the back of this unit. And the next day, I can't remember what I was doing. I ended up looking at the back of the unit. I can't remember, I think something fell down about to get it, and I noticed a bit of wax like, melted into the carpet, but it was like a crisscross of these wires and just this wee bit. There was just carpet, see, and it landed in the middle of this bit. It didn't touch any of the. It just as luck would have it, and
just
I was
like a wee warning.
And it obviously landed there, and it's dried in. But I was like, what the fuck? I was like, it's jailbait. So I watch when I'm lighting my candles now. But I've moved all the wires and shit. It's all in my living room and all that shit. But I've got a set of curtains I need to put up, so I'm worried. But I will get used to that candle because I like lighting them in the living room.
I'm big on candles, man. Pretty much every night I'll light candles. Light an incense stick. I don't really use electricity, man. See the idea of sitting in a room with a big light on at night.
I hate it.
Fries my mind, man.
I ended up taking one of these lights. These are the end it's watching. These are ring lights. See rings birds used to do their makeup and shit. I took one of these because I had the big light on. See, because I read a book out at night, and she's sitting lying in your bed with the big light on. There's something about it. It feels like fucking you're getting punished or something.
What book are you reading at the minute?
Something about fun facts of the universe or something.
Oh, class.
It was because I was reading. At first, I had a couple of books lying in the drawer. This one about this like novel about this guy in the jail, and another one was The Art of Not Giving a Fuck or something like that.
Mark Manson?
No, it was a woman that wrote it.
Was it?
I'll show you. I've got it in there.
Uh-huh.
But I just finished a book. See that Ant Middleton?
Mate, I am going to see him in Edinburgh on Tuesday.
Are you?
I'm going to see him do a talk.
I've got his book in there. It's The Fear Bubble. Have you read it?
No, I've not read any of his books, but my stepdad is he doesn't read much, but I introduced him to audiobooks.
Aye.
And the first two that he got were Ant Middleton's books, and he consumed them, man, rapid, and he was like, that's class. Based off that, him and my mom went to see him talk in Glasgow, and it was what, 2 nights ago or something. I was like, oh, how was it? And listening to them recount it, I felt the energy that was coming after them about how like impactful his speech had been. And they were like, you should go, and I just straight away booked a ticket because I could see in their eyes they were like, it was amazing.
Aye.
And I've been reading a lot of stuff about like military discipline recently. No deliberately, just kind of accidentally.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that I'm reading stuff about, they're talking about being in the military, getting discipline, getting order in your life, and I'm like, Ant Middleton's a good access point for that, so I'm glad to see him talk in Edinburgh.
Because he's at that point. See, when you read this book, I'll give you to take away. It's amazing. It's not really an autobiography. It's more like it's called The Fear Bubble. So he basically talks about when he was in the army, like growing up when he was younger and all that shit. And he would say it was like ego drove him quite a lot. And he would say how he was like back home, like he was dealing with all these atrocities going in. Basically, he wasn't saying in it word for word, but he was basically saying out killing cunts and all that, like shooting people and that. Then he was coming back. Then he was thinking about when he was back home. He was always thinking about, right, I've got 2 weeks and I'm back, and he was had pure anxiety and all that shit. Then he was like, I kind of realised like, well, it was like fear, like kind of danger in that, and he's like, then he kind of realised like, why am I having these thoughts? Why there's no danger here? He had to just kind of break it down, and he's like, see to deal with it. And he's like, I couldn't. I was in my home, nice and comfy. I was like, there's no fear, there's no imminent danger. The only danger is like if he's gone. He ended up bringing it down into a bubble, so he was going, let's say he was on like an operation and he'd see like a black guy, I don't know if it was the Taliban or whatever, something like that anyway, he'd see a guy, he was like, the danger was lying, like he would like, imagine like a bubble around this guy, and as soon as he stepped into the bubble, that's where the danger and the fear lay.
Interesting.
So but by the point he's into this bubble, he needs to kind of deal with it, so that's the way he's just started. So the book jumps between these stories when he was younger, then how he decides he's going to climb Everest as a challenge to himself. So whilst he's on Everest, he's using this fear bubble thing. So I'll let you read it. I'll not give you too much of it away, but he talks about it, and then he basically goes into how people can use it, and then it's amazing. I read it. It was one of the books I didn't want to put down.
Really?
And it's quite a small book. It's not the biggest of a book, but it's a brilliant book, and it's just that. It's an amazing book. I really recommend it. But before, I watched Who Dares Wins and that, but I didn't really. I was like, it's alright. But one of the ones I don't really often watch it, but I just seen that book. I was actually just looking for a book to read. And I was in Asda and I just seen that, and I was like,
he's an Asda author, man. He's a proper. You'll find him in the shelves in Tesco.
Like. Fourth quid, and I was looking on doing it, and I seen it, and I patched it, and I was like, I couldn't find it, and I was like, I know it, I know him. I'm sure that should be an alright watch. 2 minutes now, get us in airplane mode. But I'll give you a shot at it.
No, definitely, man.
Get right into that,
Good
man.
pre-reading, man. I know, I'm excited for it. I'm reading Will Smith's book at the minute.
What's that?
It's just called Will. It's
Is that not a biography?
But it's written by, I think it's ghost written by
Right.
Mark Manson that I mentioned earlier. That's how I was going to link to. I think he maybe done a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
I think that's what that's called.
Big orange one.
No, this one, it's a weird texture. It's like kind of white. Saying that it looks pure nicotine stained white.
Weird.
I'll need to show you. I'm sure it's called The Subtle. I could be getting my wires crossed here, but I'm sure it was
guy
a woman.
that I get him mixed up with. So I might be wrong that maybe that's not.
Because it was definitely a woman that wrote this one. Because it was written in a kind of female. You can tell she alleged that the author is female, and she says about how her family's talking to her. She says her first name. It might be Sarah. I'm thinking Sarah, but I could be wrong.
Got you. That and the Will Smith book is great, man. So the first thing straight away, like it says immediately, it's Will Smith telling a story about him and his wee brother, and their dad was like mental, and they called him Daddy-O, which I thought, I'm like, Americans, man. Right, but Daddy-O owned a shop, and outside the shop was a wall, and Will Smith and his brother were like 10 and 8 or whatever, and their dad was like, I'm going to knock this wall down and you're going to build me a wall. So the dad just took a sledgehammer, knocked the wall down, and he made them build the wall. But he didn't give them tools and rebar and shit, the stuff you're meant to use to build a wall. I think he says in the book, like, they took cement, lime, and shit and just mixed it up on the pavement and then turned it into a brick and then just used like a spirit level. And I think he says in the book, like, if you know anything about building walls, that's a whack ass way to build a wall or something. And he says that like birthdays, Christmases, holidays, him and his brother were just out building this wall constant. It took them fucking like and their dad they would be like, Dad, like, stop making us build this wall, and he would be like, build the fucking wall. And said like one day him and his brother were just full of resentment, like, fuck yes, man, no way is he going to make us just keep building this wall. And their dad came out and he was like, listen boys, yous don't need to build a wall. When yous are thinking about this, yous are picturing the wall. He's stop. He's like, listen, all yous need to do is lay bricks. He's like, you just need to lay one brick at a time. Stop thinking about the wall and just start thinking about the next brick. And Will Smith said that like our time, him and his brother started doing it, and they started to understand it, and they would just go one brick at a time, just lay a brick one at a time. And then one day suddenly the wall was finished, and like his brother looked at him like, what do we do? Do we jump up and down? Do we celebrate? Didn't know what to do. And they said their dad came out smoking a fag, took a look at the wall and was like, don't let me hear y'all say y'all can't do anything ever again. Stubbed his fag out and just went back to work. And Will Smith was like, the way he's lived his life is just one brick at a time. And that's the first thing. That's the first like 7 pages. I read that and I was like, whoa.
Fuck's sake, man, he's into it, no fucking about with old fucking Will.
Straight away. So I'm enjoying it, man. It's really.
Is that a new book? Is it just it?
Aye, just do it. And it was in the works, I know, mate, for a tenner.
Was it?
Aye, I was like, when did you start doing new books? Last it was like recently. And Billy Connolly's book, which I'm not enjoying as much as Will Smith's.
Is that his new one?
Aye, it's good though.
What is it talks about now? Is it an autobiography as well?
Autobiography, aye, but he's bouncing all over the place, man. I think that's what's throwing me off. Goes here and then he goes there.
Oh, so he doesn't take you like fucking kind of start, middle, finish kind of thing. He takes back and forward kind of.
He kinda is, but while he's taking you for start, middle, finish, he's bouncing about. But I learning a lot about him, and hearing he never prepared anything for being on stage. He just like bounced up, never wrote anything down, never prepared it and just bounced up and talked. I was like,
aye, because well, it was him and Jerry Rafferty, wasn't it? They were banjo players. Then I think it was one day he forgot his banjo, and he just ended up going it. Cause he used to do like wee kind of ad libs in between songs and sit and just talk shite. The audience were loving it. I think one day he just forgot his banjo and just went out on stage and then never picked it back up.
That's mad.
But apparently doesn't like his material. And when you watch him, you kind of like, right, that makes total sense.
Because he never finishes anything. I always heard somebody say he never finishes jokes. He just does them. But I don't know. The idea of going up with nothing like gets my heart going, man. But I don't know about stand up. Like there's parts of the medium. There's parts of it I love, absolutely love, and there's so much of it that I dislike, and I've disliked for the start. And I just tried to put it out my head, and I was like, I don't think about the bad stuff, just focus on the good stuff.
What was it you kind of disliked?
So straight away, the first thing that I disliked was the fact that I was saying the same stuff every single time. So it's like
you'd get your set and then you would perform it like everywhere you went.
Everywhere you go, but the idea is you make them think you've just came up with it. There's a dishonesty to it. I mean, obviously, there's agreed upon. Like when they buy the ticket, they know that the comedian isn't just coming up with it there and then. It seems if you want to see a magician, you don't actually think the magician's doing the stuff. But when I first started, I was doing new jokes every gig, and I was like, I will not repeat my material. I won't do it because it's lazy, it's cheating. But soon you're like, no, I'm not fucking coming up with new jokes every time, and just kind of fell into a routine.
It's a bit of pressure in it because it was like, see, that was up there when I found out wrestling was fake and that comedians tell the same jokes.
That's a great comparison.
They like fucking like, they're doing like a 20 tape run and all that shit. And it was, mate, it might have been fucking till the last 10 years or something. I used to think they'd done a different set.
You used
to think
they're just coming up with
wait, they did the same. And I was like, right, that makes much more sense. But the same thing, you're like, fair dues, know what I mean? It is a good set, but then you're like, you do this every night.
It's
an act. That's when it becomes an act.
It's an act.
But that is what they say, it is an act.
So many comedians, mate, not funny to hang about with. Nay patterless, fantastic comedians, incredible joke writers, craftsmen of their craft. Sitting with them in the motor for that journey to the gig, they've got fuck all to say, man.
Depressing bastards.
Nothing to say, man.
Suck the soul right out.
Talk about comedy all the time. Just talk about it all. I read a thing about Buddhism. It says right speech, and right speech is like no saying anything bad about people, no saying anything bad about yourself, and no putting like negative like stories into the world, no gossiping, no bitching. And see, if I read that, I noticed how much like if you listen for it, everybody, man, most of the way that, like, I don't know if it's a Scottish thing, but most of the way people have conversation is either complaining about somebody else that they know or complaining about somebody that they don't know. And if I done it, I catch myself doing it. I'll do it until I'll be like, fuck that cunt, man, fuck. Right speech.
You catch yourself doing it, you just do it without realising as well. And it is such a part of the conversation as well. It's a part that's like energy, it's getting energy out yourself, moaning. And see if you fucking work in building sites, man, any cunt that fucking does it, you know. That's all it is.
Just a moany.
It's like you get paid minimum wage and cunts fucking moaning. It's insane. That's all you
mad.
hear. And it's like, cunts are moaning, and most of the time what they're moaning about isn't the reason why they're annoyed. They're annoyed for some other reason because they're fucking getting a shite wage and outburst their ass, but they want to moan about the cunt next to them that's doing a shite to their job.
Chris Martin for Coldplay, listening to a podcast with him, and he does a thing every day. He writes for 12 minutes, just writes rapid, doesn't filter, doesn't edit, 12 minutes writing it, and then he takes it and either flushes it or burns it. And I done it, and see the first day that I done it, just so much hatred coming out, man. Literally just fuck you fucking arsehole, fucking cunt, fucking bitch, fucking like. And I was like, whoa, man. But see, when I took it and I burned it, felt better the rest of the day, and I was like, how many people are just carrying about that energy, and that's why it comes. Oh, it's fucking government, man. That's fucking these fucking buses. And
right enough.
It really is just like a build up emotion. So I've been doing that recently to kind of try and get it out, and it works.
What have you been just writing? Just the first? Is there a plan set what you're going to write?
Not just you write 12-minute. Alexa set a 12-minute timer. But and at points you're not even writing. At points you're just fucking scribbling, and then you come back and you're
Before
like,
you know it, it's just pouring at you.
aye, man, and I'm getting a lot of shit out, man. That's I've been young, man. One of the things I've always been quite insecure about is being fat. No, my weight or anything like that. I've never looked at the scale and been like, oh, I've put on temp. Just being fat, the concept, like it's always fun. I think there was a nursery teacher when I was like 4. And I went up for extra fish fingers, man. I dated the fish fingers already. And I went up for more. And she was like, Taryam Butler. That was my name at the time. She was like, Taryam Butler, you're going to grow up to be so fat. And I think that just stayed with me my whole life.
Really,
man. Honestly, I still don't think I'm quite at it. But that first day that I done that writing, towards the end, I was just writing fat. And I was like, whoa.
Fucking
I
hell.
was like, if I hadn't have done this, like, I wouldn't even have known about this shit. So it's like a real, and it's because it's just coming out. You don't get a chance to filter it and go, I won't think about that. It just comes out and you're like, oh fuck, man, a bit embarrassed.
Unedited truth.
Aye, the truth, man, and like quite embarrassed to look at it. But then the good thing is, take it out the back, fucking burn it, it's gone. No cunt will ever see it.
So do you feel, see when you're writing, is it a different thing every day, or do you find yourself still writing stuff about fat and all that kind of, or do you think have you exercised that?
I've only done it once.
Oh, have you done it
I
once?
only done it that one time.
Once is enough.
Aye,
No, but it sounds good because I done kind of something similar, a challenge, no like that, but see, because I'm doing all the podcasts and doing the comedy stuff and everything else, I've not had much time to write tunes, and I like writing tunes. That's the one thing you see people love comedy. I like doing it. I like writing sketches and that, but it's writing a song, I love doing that.
That's your thing.
That's my thing. I love it. It's like a drug. It's
Got
like a
you.
pure natural drug. So I started listening to Sam Fender. You ever listen to him?
Don't know.
Oh, Sam Fender's a Geordie, man. He's fucking shit hot. It was my pal Gas. He got us into him. He was saying about he's got this album 17 Under. 17 Going Under. That's his latest single. Listen to it, it's the fucking sound of this year. 17 Going Under.
Aye man, that touched a part of my brain. I think I've heard that.
Aye, it's fucking everywhere. You hear it. See, now I've said it, man. You hear it everywhere.
I know so.
And it just gave me the buzz for it again. And I remember fucking Ed Sheeran and all people, he was saying, write a song a day. And I always thought, how the fuck could you write a tune a day? Because I'm always thinking, right, it has to be your pure finely polished,
Aye.
all that pure, all the
Building up
fucking
to it.
near off edges. But I was just like, no, I'll set a challenge. I'll write a tune a day. It doesn't need to be amazing. It can be shite. At least I'm doing something, exercising it, and see doing that. It's honest God the difference. It is. It's like a muscle. It's like go to the gym.
That's
It's like
amazing,
exercising
man.
your brain. So that's my wee thing I've been doing.
I'm really glad you found your thing, man. Like your thing that you can do. Because I'm still looking for my thing.
Really, aye. Well,
don't
you were saying you were getting into the storytelling. How are you getting on with that?
So actually, it was actually fantastic. I done a gig. Jamie Cook, shout out Jamie Cook. Oh mate, sorry. Before we go any further, mate, like out of all the things that I've done, my wee brother was most impressed that I know you.
I remember you said last time he was watching a video or something like that.
I walked in and he was watching, like, he'd been out and I walked in and I was paused on the screen in the living room and I was like, that's weird. I come in and he's like, do you know Hawaii Fivo? And I was like, aye, and I was like, so you could just give a wee shout out to Lucas, mate. You'd love
Lucas,
it.
shout out Lucas, is his second name Boyd?
Aye.
Shout out Lucas Boyd, you've got a great taste. And plus as well, the fact that you're getting caught in your room watching my podcast is, know what I mean? You could have been caught watching a porno, know what I mean?
Exactly, man.
I feel privileged, you know what I mean?
No, I've done hundreds of shit, man. And honestly, me being on this podcast was the thing that he was most impressed by.
Oh really, aye?
Out of
Did they know you were coming on it?
No, he didn't know that I knew you. He did, because I just said to him on my way to do a podcast. But when
Right.
he found out it was your podcast, it was like, whoa.
Well, how the
like,
fuck do you not tell me?
it was-
Don't bring me.
I didn't think he'd know.
Aye.
But
Wait, did you say?
19.
19,
Aye, he's about
nice.
to
I'm
be 20,
tapping into
man.
the younger generation.
Aye.
Is it TikTok you sees me on?
I think so, I think so, man. With podcasts and that, but mate, he's got some power. Like,
Is he, aye?
because that's obviously I knew him when he was a wee guy, and when your wee brother's a wee guy, you're just like, fucking shut up, man. But see, as he's got older, it's funny as fuck, man.
Is
And
he, aye?
he's got ADHD as well.
Right.
So, and I didn't take my tablets a day for you, mate, so I could fuck.
Oh, aye,
bounce
nice
it
one,
about.
mate. Nice
Aye,
one, that's it.
But my wee brother's off his tablets, man. He's funny as fuck, man. So funny because he just says what's good in his head straight away. But
Aye,
it
you
won't,
filter.
aye, but it won't be like meh. He'll make it funny and be like meh.
Mhm.
Great stuff, man. Aye.
Is he not interested in doing anything? Like comedy wise or that, no?
No, he's not. He's not really a performer, man. I think
Nah.
he's interested in music.
Is he, aye?
He's got a real interest, and he's he always shows me like great musicians that kind of rappers and stuff that I've never heard of, kind of younger guys who might only have like a few tracks out. He's got a good,
aye.
and we got a similar taste in music, so he'll always be like that. I'll always show him wrestling matches that I've seen, and he'll always show me songs, because he'll never see the wrestling and I'll never find the songs.
Aye, so it kind of bridges that gap.
Aye, that's the kind of the exchange.
Brings you into a new world. Aye, it sounds great, mate. Sounds amazing. But I tell him, he's at the perfect age to, as you say, with the performer stuff. But you don't need to be up. It can be like Sia.
Sia, what? You never see her?
Aye. Sia, not heard. But aye, definitely. Does he play any instruments in it?
I think no. He's kind of looked at the guitar, but he's no. He's no. I don't think he's.
It's the ADHD hanging in it, man. It's
So,
she trying to sit down. It's
everything.
one of the ones you get the bug for it, but after about a month you're like, you do. It's try to keep the discipline in it. It's a bit hard if you've obviously got ADHD.
So that's what I say, man. Like I'm the storytelling thing. So I was like, I don't quite want to do comedy now. I want to go into storytelling, and I actually get a mentor. Shout out, Al. You'll never see this. But
Tell me to watch it.
Al.
I hope you're watching this, Al.
Fucking watch this, Al. But he runs a mentorship program called Waypoint One,
Right.
which is just like I think it's like you go and you're like, they go, what do you want to do, kind of in the arts, and you just get a mentor to do sessions with you and be like, right, let's get you doing what you want to do, free, just. You don't need to do it, you know. If you're interested in music, they'll put you in touch with musicians. If you're an actor, they'll put you in touch with actors and just get you like a mentor to kind of help you get stuff done. Amazing. So I get in touch with him, and then through that, kind of ended up doing a storytelling event in Edinburgh.
Right.
And I went. So apparently, there's no young storytellers in Scotland. I think Shona, is the youngest. Shona Cowie, I believe her name is.
That lady, Shona?
No,
Is that a different person?
Aye.
Right.
It's Shona. She's actually a fantastic storyteller, man.
Oh, really?
And I think a lot of the stuff's like traditional folk stuff. So I went and done this show in Edinburgh, and I was with two lassies, Elsa and Fionn. I'm going to say Elsa Dixon and Fionn. I can't remember her name, but she was the Young Welsh Storyteller of the Year, and they were 18 and 16. Incredible storytellers,
Really,
man.
aye?
Captivating, but come from like a traditional folk kind of background. The two stories that I done, one was an Arabian Nights story, which was class. I enjoyed doing it. The second one was just my life story, and apparently that shit just doesn't go down in the storytelling community.
How?
It's just mostly traditional stuff. There was an eagle, and the lady of Monterey Castle walked the land at night.
Right.
There's-
So is there no kind of hints of comedy in it, or can you just be telling a story? Like I could tell a story of William Wallace or something like that.
I don't think there's that many nights at all. It seems to be mostly traditional stuff. And it's like kind of older, like 50, 60-year-olds that are the kind of the kings and the queens of the storytelling community.
Oh, I see.
So when I went, I was like, here's my life story. Boff, my mom had cancer. Boff, my dad's an Arab. Boff, I don't know who I am. And that was just like apparently quite unexpected. But for me, it was a really powerful experience, man, because my mom and Chico, which is my mom's fiance, they were driving through for Glasgow, but they were stuck in traffic. So me and the two lassies, it was like, I tell a story, Mo and Chico aren't there. Next story, no there. Next story, no there. Then next story, no there. Then next story, no there. And then back to me, and just as I go to start my story, they walk in. Like literally as I'm standing up to start my story, they walk in, and I was like, whoa.
But was this a story that talked about what your
life
story?
But to tell my life story, I need to tell my mom's story to start with, being in Abu Dhabi, meeting an Arab and all that. And I got really quite emotional during it, man. Really started welling up, and it was a lot, and it was amazing. And I've never kind of done anything like that before, and I was so vulnerable during it that, see, when I reflected on it, I was a bit embarrassed
Because you opened yourself up that much. It's a bit of a room full of strangers.
It's a room full of strangers, and I really opened up, and I've never done that before. And even though it was an amazing night, and it was the best story I've ever told in my life, hands down, by far, like, because I went somewhere else. I wasn't me telling a story. I like left my body, but
I
my
can understand.
conscious mind was
You're
so
present during the story was getting told, basically.
my conscious mind was so freaked out that it shut down, and I just went into like the kind of performance mode. I heard that about Miles Davis once, that he came off stage and somebody was like, "You were amazing," and he was like, "Man, I don't even know what the fuck I just did." Like, it just went out and just performed. But when reflecting on it, I was like, God, why am I so embarrassed looking back at that? And that's what led me down to going to get a bit of therapy, man, and hypnotherapy, because I was like, something's off here. How have I just done the best performance in my entire life but I've got already reflecting on it. I'm like, something's not right. And then that's when I went to hypnotherapy, started looking at my life and my anxiety and how much I've been so focused on what other people think. Because you know how people say, like, I don't give a fuck what cunts think. I've never been like that, man. I've lived my life for other people, my whole life, based on what other people thought. And only now, in the past, like, month, have I started to be like, yeah, what do I want to do? Like, what do I actually want to do? You know, what do I want to do to impress people or for people to think that I'm good? What do I want to do? So I'm fucking taking up a keyboard, getting my nose pierced, starting a gymnastics class on Saturday. I'm going swimming in Speedos. Like, I don't get know the wee ones, they go down to the leg. Man,
I've got a pair in there.
There's levels, but about shit that I was just being so embarrassed about for no reason. Just going and doing it all, man. So it's nice, but it's new.
Amazing. It sounds liberating.
It is, but I feel like I'm being reborn. I feel like I'm a baby, and I need to like start slowly. But I'm becoming who I was before I started kidding on. I was somebody else. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I had such a mask, man. Proper big mask.
Feels that way, see, especially with the comedy, because it's like being, like, see, compared to doing like a stand-up set, compared to actually telling your life story, you're bearing all what's and all with the life story, but with a comedy set, you're telling jokes. You're not really being your full self to a degree. You're telling jokes. You're kind of putting on this facade. Like, see, you're talking about comedians, like they're funny on stage and that, but they're fucking depressing bastards, and they're putting on this kind of funny. But maybe they might be funny, like at times in person and that kind of stuff, but a lot of them it's like a kind of act
that's
they're
an act.
putting on. But it's whereas you're telling your life story, you can't really put an act on to a degree.
Because you need to tell the truth.
Yeah,
if
no,
you're
you
not
can't.
telling the truth, it won't be a good story.
Exactly.
Can I tell you one of the last comedy gigs I had before COVID? It was like, this was like, my heart's racing just thinking about this, man, right? So basically, I done a comedy gig and I got into trouble for it, and that was it was through me so much that I stopped comedy for obviously all during COVID, but even after COVID, I've still not really went back. So I'll tell you the full thing, right? So I was there was a show coming up at the Glasgow Comedy Festival, and I was working on it. It was going to be called, what was it going to be called? I think it was going to be called Arab Ned. I think that's what it was going to be called.
I remember you were doing one, was it two Arabs or something like that?
Bad Muslim. Bad Muslim was good. So that was the first run at it. That
so
was
you
me.
already done that?
Me and the boy of the Hill. There was like the two of us done it. So it was like half. I done half. He done half. Which was great. It was great. But this year so it was just before COVID, and I had the venue booked and all that, and I think I nearly sold out the tickets. And I was like, I'm going to tell my life story. Basically what I'd done at the storytelling thing, but I was going to do it in a comedy show.
Right.
So I'm building up to it, getting it all ready. I got a fucking 45-minute show prepared and all that. I'm going through it, I'm doing it. I get a gig for Declan McGuigan, doing it at a kind of basement in Merchant City.
Right.
So I go in and I'm like, I think I've got like quite a chunk of set, and I'm going, right, I'm going to just run through this set and kind of practice the whole story, see how it goes. 10 minutes before the show, nobody's in the room. My missus at the time was meant to be coming. She hadn't showed up. I couldn't get a hold of her on the phone. My pals were meant to be coming. Phoned them, couldn't get a hold of them. So the room's empty. I'm like, fuck, man, this is going to be shit. 1 minute after the show starts, 5 of my pals come in. 2 minutes after that, my missus shows up with 3 of her pals. 2 minutes after that, another some of my pals come in. So there's about 14 people in this basement that are all here to see me. And I'm like, the promoter comes up to me and he's like, remind me to suck you off after this. And I was like, I will do it. And I'm like, right, I go up, I do my set, and I fucking smash it, man. I nail it. I tell my whole story, life story, start to finish. My mom's stories about my gran, my granda, my dad, everything. Kill it, come away, and I'm on such a high. I'm like, yes, man, this is amazing. Look on Facebook, and I see there's a spot at a comedy club. There's only like 3 big comedy clubs in the city, and I see that there's a spot just opened up, and I was like, fuck it, man, let's take this momentum, let's go. I say to one of my pals, I'm like, can you drive me? She's like, aye. So she drives me from the one venue to the next comedy venue, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm up first. The guy that was meant to be going on first didn't make it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll go up first, man. And I go up and I try to do what I done in the basement. I go up, I tell my story, and it's no great, but it's not bad. When I come off stage, the other comedians were kind of like, well done, mate. And seeing them say well done, you can tell when a comedian's like,
aye,
and you can tell when they're like, aye, not bad. So I came off and they were like, not bad. And I was like, oh, good, man, that's good. The MC comes up to me and they're like, you outside. And I'm like, what? So they take me outside and they start going through me, man. screaming at me. And the thing they took most offence to is that I'd used a sweary word here, which is no offence meant in this, but I'd used the word poof in a joke, and I'll tell you what the joke is, because I still stand by it, man. It's that when I was growing up in Castlemilk, there was 3 things you didn't want to be: a poof, a grass, and a shite bag. And I am not a grass. So it was like self-deprecating, but I think they just heard me use that word, and when I came off stage, they got up on the mic and went, "There you are, ladies and gentlemen, a straight man using the word poof." And so like leathering.
If you're highlighting it to the fucking audience.
Literally took me outside and was like, how dared you as a straight man use that word? And the first thing I had to say was like, well, listen, but like straight away, I wouldn't quite class myself as straight. And they went, aye, whatever you need for your career. And I was like, hold on, did you just accuse me of being homophobic in my set? But then you're homophobic to me outside. I'm like, I don't talk about my sexuality on stage, so it'd be a waste of time. How am I getting any support for my career? And that made me so uncomfortable, man. One of the boys that was on stage after me said that the audience were looking round at the door because they could hear the MC going through me. So I'm in shock, man, after this. Well, she also gave me in trouble because I called my gran a slut, but I got...
But so she gave you, like, fair dues with the poof comment, know what I mean? But calling your granny a slut, how the fuck?
I think it's funny, man. Just a lot, she was like...
That's the fucking thing about the comedy in it, the jokes-wise. Obviously, like, you calling your granny a slut, the only person that can take offence to that is your granny.
I know, I hope she didn't hear it, but it was... but when I'd done these same jokes in the basement, they'd killed. But when I'd done them in that set, I'd got all this. So the big thing for me is that my material wasn't supposed to be offensive. That's what threw me off the most. I was just trying to make people laugh. If I'd went out my way to have all these offensive jokes and shit, I'd go, fuck, that's just a comedy. But because I'd upset this comedian so much, it really threw me off, and I kind of went into a state of shock, because I've not been told off since high school, do you know what I mean? So I'm walking downstairs, and I was like, I can't leave right now. I need to go back and find out what she's talking about. So I went back, talked to the MC, and I was like, run it by me again. What have I done wrong? And I think they weren't expecting that, because they were like, they expected me just to like run away. But I came back and I was like, just run it by me again. And they were just like, you're no good enough. Like, your material isn't good enough. Like, it's not going to fly. It's no good. And they were like, if we ever share a bill again, it'll be a fucking miracle. And that...
Fuck's sake, man. What a fucking dick.
Really went through me, man. And that fucked me up, man. It fucked me up massively. So all during COVID and that, I just couldn't process it, man. I was scared that this comedian was then going to go out and try and ruin my career. And one of the things that like fucked me up even more is, right, so it was like, you know, the Me Too movement. There was a big Me Too movement happening in comedy where everybody was naming promoters and comedians.
I seen that fucking, it was happening with the wrestling, then I think they just moved on to the comedy, man.
Absolutely.
Fucking all sorts of cunts get
Absolutely. During that, I seen the same MC for that show commenting on a status saying, I seen an act in a comedy club talking terribly about their mother. And I was like, whoa. During this movement in naming rapists and sex predators, because I called my mom and my granny a slut, you're going to put me in that same category?
To get you cancelled,
I was like, whoa, man. So then I'm all paranoid. I'm like, and this is before obviously I'd done any of this work to kind of be who I am and no care what people think. At this point, all I want to do is people please. So I go on Facebook, man, I write a big apology. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend them. I message the comedian. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I want to try and be better and all this. And I see my pal the next day, and he's like, I seen your big gay apology on Facebook, mate. What was that all about?
You should have wrote that in a starting tag, man. That fucking went down well.
I've no been back to comedy since because I was scared. of this kind of...
That's that kind of... So what happened with the show? See, obviously the show you were doing this material for?
COVID.
Also COVID, fuck that, so
it was the day before my show, the lockdown happened.
Was it?
Aye, and I had to refund all the tickets and that, man.
Fuck's sake, man.
It was crazy, but I wasn't meant to do the story in that show. I was meant to go through lockdown, go through this process, get sober, break up with my missus, fucking break my heart, then go and tell my story, so that I was actually vulnerable enough to tell it without having all these jokes.
So see, the story you're telling, is this the same story except you've kind of left out the humour there? No, left out the humour, but as before it was kind of, is that storytelling you were doing the last time? So was that a storytelling gig?
It was going to be the Glasgow Comedy Festival, because the shows are so long. It becomes less like a 10-15 minute set, you're in joke. But a show like that you need to kind of have more. You couldn't just do joke for 45 minutes. So it was going to be that, but it didn't need to be a 45-minute story. It only needed to be the 15-minute
so it could be like
story.
15 minute of jokes and 15 minute of the story or whatever else, and I kind of make it up. But you're doing like the 45-minute full story.
Full story, aye. And I hadn't worked on it enough. I was nervous, and that's why I was trying to kind of rattle through the gigs early on. So I'm glad that it got cancelled, but I'm really glad that I got the opportunity to actually tell my story at the storytelling gig. But now I'm going back to comedy just to tell the story that I've told you, but turn it into a set.
Right.
Because I can't
You talk about the story with this comedian?
Absolutely.
Right.
Because
Of course, man.
Because if I don't go back, that means I've been chased out of comedy.
If
There's one thing about me, mate, no shite back.
No, but mate, 100%, mate, I think she's the problem with this one, because
known for taking young comedians out and being like that. However, I will say this, like, way older than us, and an advocate for LGBT rights. So I think if you spend your whole life standing up for something, but what is it? You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. So
live long enough to see yourself become a vegan.
Ah!
No, but mate, it's you do get it. See, it goes back to it's like comics. Know what I mean? They're quite bitchy. There's like a hierarchy. You see a lot of them, man. You do see them all fucking. I remember a couple of the community pages. I'm not gonna name them. But some of the pages you do, they're quite bitchy and all that shit, and it's like
it's full of that, man. It's full of
laugh, man.
The old comedians didn't want any comedians coming in except the ones that they liked, which is, I get it. You can't just let anybody through, but also, because you've been a boot mail, why is your opinion valid for, like, if audiences like something, even if you think it's the worst thing in the world, if it's getting an audience, it's getting an audience. Do you know what I mean? It's just because it's no for you doesn't mean it's no for anybody.
Aye.
That's what fucked me up with the kind of older comedians being like, this cunt can't come, but this cunt can, and this cunt can't come.
It's like people, it's like they do something for long enough, they begin to think like they have got a say, they have got a lot of control over it, and it's like
you've just been a bit longer.
It's like people, it's like say like I've used like Frankie Boyle and that kind of stuff. Like people love him, but I bet there's some of people that fucking hate him, and then like actually like they would do it and like fuck, I don't want that cunt getting famous. And you can understand it with Frankie Boyle's side, but there's comedians that aren't to the levels of Frankie Boyle in terms of like material wise, the kind of shit he says. Like, and it's just because they take a disliking and like, nah, I don't want that guy. It's like a pure hierarchy. I get back to that one. That's kind of what it's like.
I think I'm unknown. I'm trying to get a theory that everything and everybody, it's a 50-50. 50% of people absolutely love it, and 50% of people absolutely hate it. Same with everything. If you go into a workplace, 50% of the people are going to be fantastic, 50% of the people are going to be arseholes. Same with that worst thing you can think of, like fucking the Conservative Party. 50% of the people in it are going to be great people. 50% of the people are going to be arseholes. Not that they're all arseholes. No, you're just focusing on the arseholes.
Aye.
Go at your weight, focus on the good people. 50-50.
That's what they say. I can't remember, it was some kind of documentary somebody was telling me about, and it was a guy basically, it's like, see, you tend to surround yourself with people that have got the same ideals and opinions as you. So let's see, for example, like the independence vote, like I was like, right, surely we're winning this vote, because I don't know any voting no. But I think that's because I'm surrounded by people that are all have the same mindset as me, kind of thing. But it's when you realise there's a group of people that wouldn't even think of voting yes. It's like taking drugs as well. I'm like, I don't know any cunt that's never took drugs, but there'll be people in communities like the West End, and they've probably never met any cunt that's took a drug. They wouldn't know what fucking Eki looked like. You know what I mean? A line of gear, what's a Patsy? Who's Patsy?
I couldn't do comedy about acid because most audiences were like, sorry my god, couldn't do comedy about acid because most audiences were like, because they just never done it, and they were like, oh, if you tried that, you must be crazy. And I was like, I was crazy before the acid, man. The acid helped balance me.
Fucking normal.
Alright. How you getting on with the microdosing, man? It's something I've still no looked into.
Yeah, I've been doing it. I'm doing it only a couple of times since I've been out. See, it's weird because I'm just out of jail. I've always had a pure detox. So see, I smoked green a couple of times, and it was just making us pure paranoid.
Aye.
And it's just, and I think it's a blessing, man, because see all my pals, they're all smoking it and they all want to get off it.
Aye.
So, and it's one of the things, once you're on it, it's fucking murder to get off. You'll know yourself.
It's brutal, man. That's how I done the hypnotherapy, man. If I hadn't done that, I don't know how I was going to get off it.
So did you take the hypnotherapy to get off green as well?
Aye, so it's but this is what the hypnotherapist said to me. It was very interesting. I went and I was like, I smoked too much green, and it was like, well, why? And I was like, I don't quite feel comfortable during the day. Well, why don't you feel comfortable during the day? Oh, I just don't feel like I'm able to be myself. Why don't you, right? And it goes on and it goes on. And that's what he said to me is people go to him, they're like, I smoke fags or I smoke green or I drink too much or I'm addicted to sex, I'm addicted to porn. And he was like, the thing that the people come for is never the issue. It's always something deeper than that. And that got me thinking, like, the thing for me was my ma was always saying to me, like, I'm worried about you smoking green. And I was like, oh man, it helps with my ADHD and that, you know. And then eventually I was just like, no, I was like, I want to smoke it. I was like, I like smoking it. I just like getting stoned, right? I'm not drinking the new. I'm not doing any drugs. I'm not fucking going with any birds. I'm not fucking getting nothing, man. So I'm just going to smoke green because I want it. And when you're at that stage where you're defending it with the shoulders up, you know something's wrong. And it wasn't until I went and worked with my hypnotherapist that. Should I shout him out? Nah. No, he's quite professional, man.
Is he? He's not the kind of guy who's looking for punters, is he?
I don't think so. But if anybody's looking at stopping smoking, DCM therapies, man. There we go.
DCM. Oh, at least you're not naming him by name, not I mean, you're naming his business.
But I done it for fags and went one session. Had some cravings, 2 sessions, didn't smoke again.
How long were you smoking for before that?
Years, man. But I'd been kidding on to myself that I hadn't been. I must have started smoking weekends when I was 17. And then built it up out of that. But I was daily smoking and still going, I'm not a smoker, man. But just couldn't face it. Because in my head, I wasn't a smoker.
I only have smoke at night or that kind of shit.
I only have maybe one, 2 a day or whatever.
You know what I mean? Doesn't count.
But then eventually I was just like, I'm a full-blown smoker, man. Like, I need to get off it. And but see now, I can have a fag, go away, no have a fag for like 6 days. And I'm like, that's the one.
Aye.
That's the one, man. So, enjoying it.
So after 2 sessions, you were able to just to gear up the cravings just like that?
The gear up the fags like that. The green took a few more sessions.
I did that, but it still worked just as well. Did you have any kind of like the come down coming off the green?
I had a horrible detox because I came off booze, green, and I had masturbation and porn all at the same time. So I went gave everything up and then got ill immediately. And it was like I stopped smoking on the Sunday. And on the Monday night, I was lying on the couch and I felt so hot and sick that I couldn't lift my head. And I think it was a combination of the stopping all the stuff, so physical stuff coming out. My skin was all horrible. I had fucking rashes, fungal infections and all that. And also the emotional weight that I'd let go. After one session where I came out, and so he counts you down for 10. And when he was like that, I'm going to bring you out in 10. So I hadn't been conscious during the thing. So I'll bring you out in 10. And he's like, 10, you're starting to come round. I felt my eyes start welling up. And I felt like I was going to explode, man. Like a fire hydrant in the summer. I thought I was just going to come out. He was like 9, 8, 7. I was like, but my eyes are still shut. And I've no moved. But I was like, I could feel it. And he's like, 6, starting to come round. And I was like, and it was like 3, 2. And I was like, and he's like 1. And I was like, oh, I'm actually alright. But he was like, I seen your face there. It looked like you had a lot going on. And I was like, I felt like it. As soon as we hung up the Zoom call, I went into the bathroom and just...
I get it.
Must have been, I think it was exactly 3.5 minutes because I put a song on and I was due to the full song.
What song did you put on?
It was a song called Learn to Live With What You Are by Ben Folds.
But did you plan to put it out on for that moment?
It was in my head during the hypnotism. I hadn't even thought about it for, months and months.
Never heard that.
Nobody knows who Ben Folds is, man, but Ben Folds is amazing. Zach and Sarah, man, you want to listen to Ben Folds. He's a guy, plays the piano and he's got some funny songs for the 90s, but he's also just a banging pianist, man. It's quite a thing. What's the lyrics, man? It's like... fuck, I can't remember. But the chorus,
American?
Aye, American. But the chorus basically just says learn to live with what you are. And I was listening to that, and as I was just greeting tears. And then so that was on the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fucked, man, wiped out with just illness, sickness, heaviness. I had to lie in my bed for 4 or 5 days, and that was coming off the green. That was the releasing these trapped emotions. All that shit, man.
So it was all at the ones. It wasn't just a case I just came in half a green. It was obviously
everything,
releasing all that kind of stuff. So long did that last year? Was it the week it lasted?
I've still got a bit of the throat stuff going on, man. I actually got a proper throat infection. I had to go get penicillin and all that.
Fucked it, you came in half the green?
Aye, so I think that coming off the green and coming off the drink and and going through the releasing all the stuff just made me kind of vulnerable, like physically. So I think catching the bug that everybody had caught.
So it's just impossible as well. You're right now everyone's immune system's already low as it is, so
Exactly,
it's a prime target for something like that.
And so I think like just stopped, man. I stopped working as well. I stopped work in November. At the start of November, I gave myself 4 weeks off, and the first 2 weeks, man, just rapid illness. So started getting squared up kind of last week time, and feeling better than I've ever felt. Like consciously, health still kind of getting there. Found out I'm allergic to histamines as well.
Oh really? Aye.
Brutal. You know, you take an antihistamine. Hundreds of food's got histamines in it, and I've been like, I'd like a binge eater my whole life. Like before I started taking ADHD tablets, scrammed all sorts. And the one thing I used to scram was bananas. Mate, I used to eat sometimes like there was a period when I was eating like 15 bananas a day.
Fuck's sake.
Aye.
What is that, like 2 bunches?
But I man, lots of banana. Put them in a blend on that. Having bananas for breakfast, dinner on that. Toasting banana. Used to eat a whole loaf.
Did you
of
just go
Wardens.
through phases? That's what you eat. You just take to something and just eat it until you're sick of it.
It was just bananas, pretty much, man. Like my whole life, just rapid bananas. I think it was a coping mechanism, eating bananas, man. So
Bananas make you happy.
but they're also full of histamines.
Are they?
So I've got to the point in my life now, man, that I just couldn't deny it. I was having like tomatoes and starting to get itchy nipples. I was like, this isn't the way to go, man. So I've had to cut out hundreds of shit, and it's only been like a few days. But I'm going to keep it out for ages, man. So a pure boring diet. Like, can't even have soy milk, man. So I'm on like coconut milk, meat in that. So it's not too bad. Steaks and broccoli and that. But and it's for like nausea, headaches, itchiness, fatigue, eczema. All that shit can be caused by histamines. I've never heard of any of it.
How did you find that out, that you were allergic to histamines?
My nipples, man. My nipples were the
Did your
indicator.
nipples tell you?
My nipples told me, man. I was eating certain things and just being like, fuck, man, sitting up all during the night, like, what's going on with these nipples, man? And then just, it must have been over the course of about a year, just slowly noticing what things were triggering me, and like kind of then finding the Venn diagram, and most of the foods were like high histamine foods, and I was like, all right. And when I took an antihistamine, all the itching went away, so I was like, it's probably the histamines.
I see.
So if MDs get weird itching going on with their skin, look into a low histamine diet.
We'll talk about that, because I think with that, when I was puffing the green like fuck, man, I was eating a pure power of chocolate, and I think I was just having too much sugar. And I'd notice I'd eat like a bar of chocolate, and I'd just get pure itchy.
Right.
I was getting to the point, man, it was like, see the back of my legs and that, I was like scratching them. And I think I was getting like skin infections, mate, and it was like, see, I'd scratch it, and it's like, see a big scab in the back of your knees.
Got you.
So I couldn't bend my leg. I was, oh, mate, it was horrifying, man.
I'm a eczema. I've had eczema since I was born. When I was a baby, I just had no skin, actual no skin. Like, they used to just wrap my entire body in bandages because I was just full of eczema.
Fuck's sake, eh?
I was allergic to eggs, and my family didn't know. And my gran was like, do you know what's a good old wife's recipe for them? Rub them down with egg whites. So she took egg whites, man, rubbed them all on my body, and they said I just went, swole up. I was like, had to take me to hospital and all that. So
Fuck's sake.
I've had eczema my whole life, and it wasn't until I cut out dairy that it went away. But the doctors never, mate. I'd been gone to the doctors for eczema since the day I was born, and not one doctor ever said cut out dairy. They were always like, here's a cream, here's a cream, here's a tablet, here's a cream. Never did they go, stop drinking dairy. And as soon as I stopped having dairy, my eczema went away.
That's the thing, it's because you realise that, see, with the food, it does make a big difference, like say the dairy. So I remember you said when you went vegan, done veganuary, that's when you first noticed like the diet was affecting your eczema.
Great. It's good that you remember this stuff, man, because I was worried I was going to tell stuff that I'd already told before.
No, I remember it, because I don't think you told me about it, I just remember you talking about it, seeing, I think you maybe told me about it, but we'll just talk about it, pure, never went into it, because I was thinking about trying going vegan, just to try it. Because I wanted to just give meat a buy. So I don't know,
I'd do it a month. Man.
It's a month. It's just, see me, I'm a fucking greedy bastard. I just eat. I'm cutting it down. But it's the chocolate and that kills me. See the sweeties and that. But it's like fruit I need to replace it with. But aye.
If you go ADHD, man, it could be that people with ADHD, their hunger receptors in their brain aren't as connected as normal people's. So I shouldn't say normal people, neurotypical people.
The average.
But if I'm off my tablets, I can eat all day. My wee brother's the same, man. He'll rattle 3 takeaways in a day, man, and be like, you gotta finish that cake? And I'm like, aye. But it's because the hunger receptors in the brain don't pick up signals for the belly.
Right.
So the belly will be like, fuck, swallow out belly's like, please, man, no more. But the brain will be like, here, with chocolate. What's happening with some chocolate?
That's me. That could be me. Because, mate, I would eat until I'm fucking like sick. I was a few times, I'm like, I think I've got a fucking eating disorder.
Have you ever thought about getting diagnosed?
I tried, and the guys like, you get mild ADHD, but I was like,
Who said that?
I went to see like a fucking, is it a therapist or a psychiatrist, whatever it is, and the first guy couldn't tell. He didn't really, he was kind of, I was asking me things, and it was just, he couldn't really make up his mind, so he sent me away, and then I had to come back. He was like leaving that job, so it was another guy. So I had to go and see the next guy. He went through a checklist, and he went through it, and he's like, right, you've got mild ADHD, but you seem to cope with it all right. But he's like, kind of what are you kind of looking for here? I was like, just a bit of closure or something. Figure out. Cause I always thought I maybe had something like that, but he's like, it's like we could offer you medication, but he's like, do you really want to be on medication? I was like, no, really, to be honest.
I was under the impression that there was no such thing as mild ADHD.
It wasn't really a diagnosis. He's like, you're kind of mild. It's kind of like mild ADHD, but at the same time, at times I'm like, I don't know. Was that cunt right?
I don't trust this guy. A, because he's no let you make the decision on whether you want medication. He's swayed you.
No, he says he's like, I could offer it, but he kind of heavy. Like he made it sound like it wasn't a great idea.
That's what I mean. He should have been like, we should have laid out the options for you. It sounds like he's been like that. And I was under the impression that there's no such thing as mild ADHD because it's a brain wiring thing. Mm-hmm. So your brain's either wired that way that you've got ADHD, or it's no wired that way. There's there's no 7 of the wires are in, but 6 of them on there. You've got ADHD or you don't. I would go to your GP, mate, and because I could not live my life if I wasn't medicated. I spent years in suffering, depression, anxiety, eating disorders, fucking sadness, career addiction, all this shit, and it was all caused by my ADHD, and I didn't know. And it wasn't until I got medicated that things that I thought were personality traits turned out to be symptoms. So like, I'm always late. That's just who I am, man. I'm late. I'm not there. I'm just an untidy guy. I leave cupboard doors open, man. That's just me. If you want cupboard doors shut, get a different pal. Took a tablet. Boff, it goes away. I'm on time. My house is tidy. I'm shutting cupboard doors. I can get organised. I can think without getting stressed. So all this stuff that I was like, that's just me. Gone.
Wow. That's the thing. See, I can be quite organised and see timekeeping. That was the few things. I was like, listen, I can set routines like people that lose stuff and all. I always keep, let's see, and I've always got like my wallet in my right pocket, my keys in my left, and my phone in my right. So there's a pocket, and I always keep. That's just the way I do it. But I was a pure creature of habit all my life. I had to have things in a certain way, and it couldn't be some couldn't move something. I'd freak out, and then I'd need to have it back where it was.
Interesting.
I used to be like that, but since I smoked DMT, I just fucking disappeared.
How is the old DMT, man?
I'm not gonna say. I've not taken it in a while. I was going to take it recently, but as I say, I've been off everything, and I'm smoking joints and taking wee microdoses is making me feel a bit whoa. I'm like DMT's a bit fucking bit far down there. Know what I mean?
Done it, you know. It's like you gave it a go. I've never done it, man.
Have you not?
No.
I thought you had. I don't know why.
I'd smoked changa, which was like kind of like it, but I was I shouldn't be. I won't confess it. Let's just say when I had the changa, it was like the fifth thing it was the fifth intoxicant that had occurred that night.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? And whenever I take mushrooms or acid, I'm like, right, I'm going to eat fruit all day, or I'm going to fast, I'm going to drink lots of water, wake up early, do a bit of exercise, meditate, go into it clear. This was in the middle of a party in West Kilbride. I was like, some good changa, man. I'll have some of that. So I didn't really have the experience, so I'd like to get a go, man.
Do you remember much shit?
Nothing. I remember flying away into Upside Down Try. Well, what I do remember is we were in the room and the guy was like, "You want some changa?" We're like, "What is that?" He's like, "Smokable DMT." I was like, "Aye, man, fuck it." But obviously I was away at this point already, so it was me, my missus, and this guy. Well, like we'll do the first round of it. We were in this, we were in my pal's front room, and the guy kind of got it into. He just put it in a wee single skinner. And he passed it round and...
Oh, so he did it like a roll-up kind of thing, or a joint?
And he had the first one, passed it to my missus, and she was killing me, man, because I was obviously... I'd been waiting for years to do DMT. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And she was going like... And I was like, oh, babe, please, can I get that? Like, please. So I was like... Passed it to the guy, and he had done it again. My missus again... I'm like, chuff, baby, chuff, chuff, chuff. She was like, I had to go at it again. I remember feeling all the heat. Right, I felt like the tap in my head was on fire, and it felt like I was losing, like, all feeling, and I was like, I'm going to burn. But I'd read enough about this to know that the second draw is the one that makes you go, oh, I'm going to die or whatever. So my missus again, and I was like, babe, please. Felt like my head was on fire, and I went, and as I passed it away, I just remember lying back and going, whoa. And right before that there was a guy, Russian guy came in, and he was like, you guys okay? We were like, come back in 5 minutes, we're about to do some DMT. And I remember, like, as I was doing that, he shut the door, and I just remember looking at the door and going, whoa, whoop. Upside down triangles kind of flying through them, went away, and then don't remember a single thing. Can I remember seeing like a desert landscape? All I've got. Went away, went wherever I went, came back in my body, landed, and the room was kind of gone like, doo, 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 doo. Got back into my body, and I was like, whoa, that was fucking amazing, man. Felt like it'd been, what, an hour, 2 hours or something. And the Russian guy popped his head back in, and he's like, guys, that's been 5 minutes. And I was like, I bounced, like, I was freaking people out, because I'd like, when he said it's 5 minutes, I bounced up in the chair, and I was like, wow, oh, and everybody was like, whoa, whoa, but I just couldn't believe that the concept of time was so malleable. Like, I'd always been, you know, obviously when I was on acid and stuff, I'm like, whoa, was it only 6 o'clock? But I'd never had an hour happen in 5 minutes. That was my experience, man. What was your experience?
I've had a couple of experiences. Have I tell you about them now?
Can I kick my shoes off, man? Is that right?
Batter in, help yourself, get yourself comfy, mate. It was like, see, you talk about time slowing down. The one time I kind of realised that with the DMT, I smoked it once, and I put on REM, Losing My Religion.
Good song.
Perfect song for fucking having a spiritual experience, know what I mean? And I remember then it was like, the tune, as if you fucking become a part of the tune. It's mental, and it's all around you, you know that? And this was playing my telly. And it was weird, and it was a bit, and the tune goes, that was just a dream, that bit. And it was stretched out. It was like, that was just a dream. And I was like, wow, man. I was like, but the thing was playing off my telly, so I was like, it's obviously got some capacity to kind of slow it down. I was just like, it's fucking bizarre.
Why is the telly deadness?
But every time I've pretty much had it, I've had a pure epiphany. It's like, 'cause I've always took it sober. A couple of times I've took it no steaming drunk for anything. I've only took it itself. Maybe been stoned or that, but I've never been full of anything else. I've just too party to do it that way.
I'd feel the same. Like if I was going to do it, I'd want to do the whole cleanse.
I wouldn't want to do the mushies at the same time, psych. It hits the same part of the brain, so I don't want to overdo it, because I think the DMT is powerful enough as it is. But sometimes I'm like, well, your body produces it, so is it really that thing? But it's one of the ones. It's not one of the drugs. It's the most. I've took fucking every drug. And every one I've like, want to try it again, like instantly next day. That DMT is like, right, I've took that. I'm not in any rush. See, the longer you leave it, you're kind of like that, and I'm all right.
Yeah,
because I don't know what much more I could get fixed. It's kind of set me on my path. This is see everything I'm doing now. It's all after the back of taking DMT.
That's amazing, man. I did hear once they said when you hear the message, hang up the phone, and that's something that I've always tried to respect with psychedelics. Is like when I have an experience that's life altering. Well, my life's been altered. I don't need another one. Because what am I going to do? Alter it again? Why? It's just been altered. Let me do the work for a bit. And I've spent quite a while away from psychedelics now. Obviously, gone through recovery as in itself. It's gone through the 12 steps has been the most thorough spiritual experience that I've ever had, despite all the drugs that I've took. Like, and I get why when people get sober, they're like, whoa, because being in recovery, when I first went in, I was like, arseholes. It's full of arseholes in here, man. I don't want to sit in a circle with these fucking gimps telling sad stories, fucking talking about higher power and all that. I was like, shite bags. Every single one of these shite bags. And I went to my first meeting when I was 21, and I didn't get sober until the start of this year. So I'm nearly 26 now. So that was 5 years of knowing that I was an addict, but being unable to, being pretty much either like it was fear, but it was fear disguised as me slagging everybody else around about me.
Disguised as bravado.
Absolutely. And it wasn't, I knew, but gone through the 12 steps, they were like, it will create a spiritual experience in you and your whole life will get better. And I was kind of like, pish, man. It might work for everybody else, but it doesn't work for me. So I done step 1, 2 and 3 in a month, which was it was quite quick. And it was nice, and I just broke up with my missus as well, so I was already in a very vulnerable place and used the group and the steps to get through it. Step 4, I'm still doing step 4, and I started it in February. So that's like that whole time just on this one step where you go through, and it's called you make a moral inventory. So you go through, you write down every resentment you can remember, you write down everything you're scared of, you write down all the harms you've done to anybody in your life, and you write down all the sexual harms you've ever done to anybody in your life, and you get it all wrote down, you do like a checklist for it, and you get every single bad, or quote unquote, bad thing you've ever done, every single bad feeling you've had towards another person, and you write it down. Just the process of going through that has changed me profoundly.
Really,
It has allowed me to shatter the mask that I was living under because of fear, and it has allowed me to slowly start becoming who I actually am. So everything that I've been up to this point in my life, I feel like I've never done comedy. I feel like I've never acted. I feel like I've done storytelling, because that was about this time. But everything else I've done up to then, it was me playing a character. And this is me finally actually being who I am. And I'm not even done yet. I'm only on step 4 out of 12. So I'm a third of the way through.
I see, because I've actually went to Coke Again Anonymous a few times, like recently, just recently.
How's it been?
I kind of felt the same, not the same as like these are all pricks, but I was just like, see, going to it, I don't know what it is about it. Every cunt's so friendly and welcoming, and there's something about that. I'm just like, I wanted to go in and sit at the back and no in and out and shuffle in and out without any noticing this. I didn't want to talk.
Yeah.
I just went. I don't know why I went. It was first time I went. Every time I've went for the first time, it's been after the back of a come down. I've had a come down like, fuck this, I need to stop this, and I've went. Then I've maybe went again after that, and then I've just no went back. But I've seen recently I've been off it and that kind of stuff. But I was toying with the idea of doing a 12-step program, because every cunt swears by it. Because I know a lot of people have done it, and every one of them swear by it. There's not one person's got a bad thing to say about it.
No, and I didn't believe it would work for me. I thought it might work for all these people, but it won't work for me.
That's what a lot of people say. Like, how's this going to help me?
Do I really need it? Like, am I even that bad? And then rock bottom, I'm alright. Another rock bottom, I'm alright. Then the rock bottom, and I was like, I've got nothing left. I'm like, I need to do it. So for everybody listening, if you get any sort of trouble that you're dealing with, whether it be substances, whether it be sex addiction, whether it be porn, whether it be food, whether it be your phone, whether it be your career, man, whether it be spending, like whatever your addiction is, if you can find a way to muster up the courage to go to a 12-step program before you lose everything, I would recommend it enough, because I was one of the people that had to feel like I'd lost everything before I went. But that was just my path, you know. I had no other say about it. But it's the bravest thing anybody can do, is commit to changing who you are. And the 12 steps is the most proven way to change who you are. And cunts go crazy for it, man. I get people who are like, I meet people and they're like, everybody should do 12 steps. 12 steps is the only thing in the world that's ever going to work. And I get why, because it's made such an impact on them. But the other side of it is, if you're not ready, you're not ready. And that's all right.
Find it in your own time.
That's fine.
It's
that's
weird,
absolutely fine.
Weird thing about the 12 step, but the guy, I don't know if it was the guy who started Alcoholics Anonymous, apparently devised the 12 steps on an LSD trip.
Did he?
The guy who started Alcoholics Anonymous done it. It was an LSD trip, and he cured his alcoholism through LSD. But I wasn't sure if that was what happened, or he devised the 12 steps whilst on acid. But I don't think it was one of the ones. I don't think it was just a mad tripper and they just thought 12-step program. I think he was looking for enlightenment, but he was an alcoholic. But it's a lot of work. When did you actually start the 12-step program? So step 1, when did that start? Obviously, step 4 started in February. January
this year.
So January you've been doing it since.
January.
So is that 10 months?
Aye.
And step 4, actually, it's a lengthy process.
It's very long. And the thing is, I was when I was on step 1, 2 and 3, I was like, why is everybody in this program bitching about doing step 4? I can't wait to do step 4. I'm going to write down everybody I resent. I'm going to write down everything bad I've ever done. I can't wait to get all that shit out. And then you start it. Man. Step 1 is just write down the names and the people. That in itself took me months, man. I think I've ended up with 889 names. Because you need to think, man, if that nursery teacher that I mentioned earlier, she's on the list. Anybody that slagged me in primary school that I can remember, they're on the list.
So what is the list for the first step?
The first bit is you got a bunch of different sections, but the first part of it is you write like, I resent. So I'd write like, I resent that nursery teacher because she told me I was going to grow up to be fat. And then you've got a checklist. So this affects my pride, self-esteem, emotional security. And you go through and you check, some of them. And then you write like, what part, or was it? It's like, where was I at fault? So you write like, was I being selfish, self-seeking, scared, inconsiderate? So it starts kind of, you at first you get to point the finger and go, that woman, man, nursery's a fucking bitch, I can't believe that, because she done this to me and this made me feel that way. And then you're like, well, where are you gone wrong? And you're like, maybe I'm still scared. Maybe it's 25 years later and I'm still scared of that woman's opinion. So then you go, right, well, can I change that? Can I stop being scared? And that's when you get to release it. So step 5 is you go through everything you've wrote and you just share it with your sponsor. Share it away. So They say it's anonymous and that, man, but I think it's important to talk about this sort of shit, and it's the sort of shit that I would tell everybody that I know. So I'm happy to go through it, and I don't know if people are like, you're not meant to do that, but fuck authority, man. I've always said that.
I think that's probably one I see for some people is maybe hesitant about doing it. It's like, I don't want to tell people this. So, but it's obviously, I feel as if you want to share, you can share.
You gotta get it out, man.
It's only ways people are going to take. Like, somebody might be listening. It's like, fucking nursery teacher said I was fat when I was young, and I hate that bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
and you're holding on to it, man.
Clinging on to it, and it could be. And it starts off as something maybe small, might be small, seen as small, but if you bottle that shit up for 10, 20 years, man, it becomes big.
Gotta wait. So let me give the first. I've not started step 5 yet. I've still got a bit more work to do on step 4. But I kind of had a quick experience of what it will be like with my sponsor. So I was first on my list. I done it on a spreadsheet, so it goes alphabetically. So the first thing on my list was I resent 9/11. 9/11, the terrorist atrocity, right? Because when I was 6 years old, I came home and I wanted to watch CITV on ITV, which was Channel 3. But I couldn't because they were covering 9/11. So I had to go into my room and watch Woody Woodpecker on BBC 2. I still kind of hear that laugh, like, without me being like, God, they terrorists, man. But even though that's so ridiculous, I had to write it down because at 6 years old, I went, fuck whatever this is. This is preventing me from doing what I want to do. So I go through, what did that affect? It affected my emotional security. Because I went home and I watched CITV. That's what I did. That was my routine. Didn't get to do it. Affected me emotionally. Now, where was that fault? Definitely being selfish. I put my watching habits the atrocity of 9/11. So selfish gets a wee check. Where was I being inconsiderate? Absolutely. Thousands of people died and I couldn't watch a channel. So I inconsiderate. And even though I'm 6 years old, it still goes all down. So I get all that, and that's my step forward. I've got it there. Talking to my sponsor. And he says, like, so what's the first one on your list? And I'm so embarrassed to say 9/11. And I'm at him, it's 9/11, mate, because, and I go through and I say what I just said to you. And the first thing he says is, I can relate to that, mate, because when I was younger, Princess Diana died, and I wanted to watch telly, and I couldn't. And I was like, I was like, oh, it's all right. Like, it's actually all right. And that experience then, like, no, I can talk to you about it. I would never have mentioned that to you.
Because the fear of being like, judged cunts like, what the fuck? No, kind of stuff. And plus as well, as you say, if you looked at it and you maybe say, it was probably a selfish act, you're like, people judging you, fear of being judged.
People got to judge me, but I told you this, he didn't judge me. He shared an experience with me that he related to, and that released that like, oh man, I'm fucking, do you know what, I hate 9/11 because of that. Let it all out, and now I can look at it as being funny as fuck. No 9/11 itself, the experience in me.
A bit of material for you.
Aye, yeah, good stuff, man. So I used to have a joke about 9/11. I think it was all a lie. That's the thing about starting comedy. When you first start, like, you're like, I need to make up funny experiences. I need to lie and tell funny things. But then eventually, as you go, you're like, oh no, it's actually just sharing whatever's going on in you. But I think I'd made up a story where I went to my ex's for dinner. And her dad was talking about 9/11, and I was like, 9/11 was a tragedy. We lost 7 of our best men that day.
Did it go down well?
I think so, I think it went down quite well. But
I'm talking about the Twin Towers, I'm talking about a joke. Sorry, I can't.
Cut that out. Keep it in. Are you worried about repercussions for the things you say? Because I knew, up until this point, been shit scared of it. And then when that thing happened with the comedy, I was like, oh, this is what I feared. It's not actually that bad. But I'm so worried that it's all going to circle back around and smash me.
Well, see the fact that, like, no, I mean, I try and keep it as raw as possible. People know that, and I've kind of.
That's what I love about you. It looks like you're going, here's my boss.
Saying it how it is, because I feel as if, obviously I'm saying about, I'm just out of jail, get the tag and show and all that, because I'm like, right, see the more honest I'm at, the less somebody can't come up and go, you've been in the fucking jail. I'm like, I know, because I tell you.
I told you.
I know. Yeah. I told you that one. So, but see the thing is as well, obviously, some people might class me as a comedian, but also I write rap tunes, so I can be a comedian rapper. Comedians are starting to not get away with shit, so I've just started rapping now because rappers get away with fucking murder. So now I'm just changing my job title to fit what I can get away with.
Got you.
So comedian rapper, mate, you can't cancel me for shit.
I'm a character. I always liked the idea of just building a character, but when I was up on stage, I was going for validation, and there was no point in my character getting validated. That doesn't mean nothing to me. So I wanted actual me to like, we love you. You're the best. And then because I was going for that, it meant whenever I had a bad gig, they were saying, we hate you, no, we hate your jokes, we hate you.
Aye, taking it personally.
Aye, which is why and that was because I was obsessed with other people's opinion. So now I'll be able to go up and tell the story, and if they don't like it, I'll be able to be like, oh, they didn't like the story, that's fine.
That's the kind of attitude I've got to know. It's just like, for years I always cared about cunts, thought of me myself, but I end up just kind of mind what was the fucking catalyst for the change. It might have been the DMT as well. Then it was just, I was just realising,
really
fuck what cunts
bigging up
now
this
I'm at a
DMT.
point, like, see if I write something or I do a podcast, cunts like I know into that, I'm like, I don't care, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because I enjoy doing it. It's like, see, if you're going about, you know yourself, you're trying to please people, you're never going to be happy. But see me writing tunes, I could write fucking every other tune after this and be pure shite, but see if I like it, I like it. If somebody else likes it, we share an opinion, we share something we like, that's amazing.
That's good.
But if you don't like it, it doesn't mean it's shite. It
Probably.
might be shite, but just because I'm not going to start thinking it's shite if somebody doesn't like it.
It's probably going to be 50-50, isn't it?
It's like me saying, it's like, do you like Friends?
Is this alright?
There's some people think it's amazing, I think it's amazing. Some people think it's shite. But it's like, is it shite because some think it's shite? It's the same way, and it's like
Splits opinion, and but people don't allow for opinions, and people also don't allow for growth. So like, you said this, and you're like, I believed it for that 5 minutes, but see, as soon as I said it, I didn't believe it. But people are like, nah, you said it, and you're like, I say a lot. I say lots of things. I don't need to stand by it all. I don't. In fact, having ADHD. Sometimes I'll talk, and then people will laugh, and I'll go, what are they laughing at? And I'll have to listen in my head to what I've just said, and I'll go, oh fuck, that is quite funny. So if I'm having to listen to what I've just said, how can it be me saying it? Do you know what I mean? It just comes out. It comes for this other place, and it comes through me, and it comes out. Because if it was me that was saying it, I'd know what I've just said. But if I'm sitting there and I go like, fucking blah, 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 and then people start going, haha, I'm like, I get a wee fright. I'm like, what are they laughing
so
at?
you talk about in terms of if you're doing like a joke or that, or if you're just being yourself.
In life, just having a conversation.
That's the thing, it's like, I feel as if sometimes you say something, or the things you don't find as funny, you just say it's because it's coming through you, your natural filter.
Comes out.
You're like, it's just you. It's like, but if you were to actually sit and go, right, people found this funny, so if you were to try and make that into a joke, over and think about it a bit, you'd probably lose a lot of its edge, because it's not got that raw, unedited, unfiltered bit.
I am shocking at joke writing, mate. I am terrible.
I'm the same. See, I think about the comedy as much as... See, I talk about the songwriting, I get back to that. I do that. I love doing that, going up on stage and singing tunes. It's some
I'm so
buzz.
glad, mate, that you found a thing. You've no idea how happy it makes me to
Cheers,
hear
mate.
that you've
I
found
found this years ago and fell away from it. Then I fell back into it. It was a lockdown, so I've got the lockdown a lot to thank for. Much as I slag it half an hour, but that's when I get back into it, and I just realised it was when I kind of found my path again. I was like, I actually enjoy this. Then the DMT was kind of getting the fucking epiphany, saying pursue your passions, your dreams, and that'll be the death of you, all that mad
Gotta
mystical
get me
shit.
on the DMT, man. I'm going to be on that dark web.
I think I'm going to need to shame in a couple of people, because a few people say to see, I've took it and I'm a pure heavy, a fucking purveyor of it. I talk about it all the time, so people are like, let's try it, and I'm like, I don't want to smoke it. But I'm like, I'd happily fucking
take people through.
shaming people.
I take people through mushroom trips, and
really?
I really enjoy it. Like, I really, really enjoy the experience of it, and being like, things like, and because I'll be tripping with them as well. Things like I'll get them a glass of water, and I'll turn around and they'll be like, thank you. Like, how did you know I needed that? And I'm just like, I'm perceptive because I'm hypersensitive, which is also why dying on stage hurts, because I kind of just walk away and be like, was what it was. I'm like, for 3-4 days I'll be like, oh, carrying it. But when I'm with people, I can perceive what they need before I really understand what they need. So if somebody's like stressed out, I'll be like, buff man, lights off, candles on, and then suddenly I'll see them feeling better, and I'm like, yes man, like caretaking, like giving.
Aye.
I'd have the soaks off, man, but I know some people are freaked out by feet.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Aye, I don't know why, man. I think it's because we cover them up all the time. Imagine we lived in a society where everybody was wearing gloves all the time. When you did see a horn, you'd be like, whoa, what's happening there?
I suppose. It's weird, because you think if you go back to like fucking medieval times, cunts were all just bollock naked kicking about, and it must have been the pure norm, just kicking walking up to a caveman and fucking balls out and all.
Aye, Billy Connolly loves getting naked, man. He does it in all his travel shows. Apparently has a moment where he gets naked. Said the first time that he done it was in the Paris, cunts to jump out planes.
Oh right, I thought you were talking about a place, Paris.
All right,
in the Paris.
It was Paris, France.
I thought it was just para, because he was naked, man. Pure paranoid that he's not.
No, he was naked, and they put a rolled up newspaper up his arse and lit it on fire, and he had to dance for as long as he could. So it was called the Dance of the Flaming Arseholes, I believe.
Was this like an initiation or something?
Think so, aye, and everything. And then that's where he realised he loved being naked in public, and No. It was a class story, man. It's for the book. I think it's called Windswept and Interesting.
Oh, right.
And he was saying he was doing in London, and he done a thing where it was for charity. I think it was for Comic Relief, and he was running about, let's say, Trafalgar Square naked, and he had like 3 or 4 other people, like I think with their hair dyed purple or maybe dressed. Oh no, they weren't dressed. Like their hair dyed purple, running after them. So he was running about Trafalgar Square naked with all these people, and there was a wee Irish guy at the side going, "That's shocking, that's awful with the kids. That's fucking." He just pissed, like standing there the whole day, just being like, "That's terrible, that's shocking." And Billy was like, he said that it was like he'd done it, and he was at the side, and the guy was still following him, going, "That's fucking disgraceful." And his people, Billy's Conley's people were kind of crowding round about him. And he went to them, "When I say 3, I want you to separate." And he kind of went 1, 2, 3, and they separated. Billy Conley just smashed the cunt in the jaw and then ran away.
Fuck's sake, man. When was this?
I can't remember, it was years ago, but he was saying that like later that day he seen a policeman, and the policeman was like, "Billy Conley," and he was like, "Aye," and he was like, "I'm looking for you," and he went, "Why?" And he went, "'Cause you punched a guy," and he went, "And he fucking deserved it."
I need to read that. Is it Windswept and Interesting? Is that the newest one you're talking
and
about?
I'm on the audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook. I went out for a dinner in a Weatherspoons in Cumbernauld. Way in my ears, felt like I was having dinner with Billy Conley, man.
Oh really? What, were you just sitting yourself?
I was cat sitting for my pals, and I was like, I'm going to treat myself, man, jump out for dinner tonight. And I just went out, man, just kind of had dinner on my own, but I had the book in my ears, and I was like, this is class, man. I'd really get to just listen to it, because you're not doing anything else, just waiting on your food and that, so it was class.
Really?
Steaks in the Cumbernauld. Weatherspoons, by the way, the Carrickstone. If anybody for the Carrickstone sees this, man, sort it out.
Fucking mistakes, man. Like
Mistakes, man. I had to have chicken goujons.
So how's them these steaks?
I don't know. They got, mate,
Do you usually have steaks?
They've got a huge wire cow, full-sized wire cow, one upstairs and a bull at the front, and they don't serve steaks.
But they just don't sell them, or they had none left?
Just don't have them.
What the fuck's
Don't
they
have
do
them
with
on the
that?
menu. Take the cow down.
Must have stripped the cow then. The fucking that same ran out, innit? No more cows to strip. It's a shame in Cumbernauld, I know. Fuck's sake, can't strip a cow. Shameful. But I've heard in Weatherspoons they're going to start doing 99p pints.
Is that
It must
legal?
be-
That must be England.
No, I think it's it must be. It's always England. It's like one of the mad things you see. It's like the Lad Bible and that, and it goes. Then you click on it. It does say, "Oh, it's in fucking New Zealand, Zambia, or some shit like that."
Aye, I always think
but
that-
it makes it as if it's like fucking next to the fucking one up the tune.
I always think that like Scotland, we just used up our drinking. Like that's why we've got all these laws. Because like for up until the liquor laws came in, we were just like, and they were like, right, that's yours are done.
That's probably how we give so much money to England, man, Westminster, so we can pay for the booze. Innit? Probably just get extra booze because we drink it all, man.
How are you feeling after the booze?
Good. It's what was it? A few weekends ago, we were watching the UFC, and I was like, "Well, I'll get a few beers." I had a few people up at mine, and I get a Copperberg, and I took a wee microdose, but it was like a 0.35, and I was just like, then I tried to drink the neck of this Copperberg, and I was just like, nah.
Couldn't do it.
Just like, I can't drink this, give him it. I was like, nah, and I just ended up going to my bed like, later on, and I was just like, nah, just I like being off it, because I'm seeing the amount of stuff I'm doing, I like to keep busy with this, sitting with hangovers, and
Never
it's
the time.
shite. And it's I can't just drink. It's drinking, and you need to be taking something with it. So it's like gear or what. If you take gear, that's just a different fucking ball game. I just can't be arsed with it. It's just there's no fun in it, no excitement to it. So I need to find my excitement elsewhere.
I recommend the non-alcoholic Copperbergs.
It's just Copperberg. I've never really been into Copperbergs. Never really liked them. They've been too
Sweet.
too sweet and too sugary for me. I was never a big fan of Copperbergs. I could drink one, but I couldn't drink any more than that.
The non-alcoholic ones are less aggressive than the alcoholic ones,
see.
and the bottle's weird as well. But they're nice, and I'll drink 4 of them through the night and start to get a buzz about me. Start to be a bit like, because you match. I think when you're no drinking, and there's a barrier. Even if you got like a lemonade or something, you're like, I'm having a lemonade or that. And that's my personal experience. Right. If I'm like, and if I'm no drinking anything, I'm no drinking. So the people that are drinking, I'm like, you're drinking, I'm no. But whereas when I've got a wee non-alcoholic Copperberg, I'm like, we're all drinking. I'm just not drinking alcoholic. But you've got the bottle,
Right.
you've got the coldness of it, you've got the opening it, you've got the sitting with it, you've got the drinking it, you've got the putting it down, you've got, well, fuck's my drink. Everything except the alcohol in it. But because you're doing all that stuff, it allows me to be more perceptive to the people that are on a drunk level.
Right, so you're not just sitting like that, you can't do my nut and
Aye, no, I'm able to be like, oh, and that allows me to then get on their frequency. Like, do you know when two violinists are playing a duet, their brainwaves synchronise?
Right.
So like the actual, like their brainwaves become the exact. If you look at it on like a, I don't know, brainwave machine, you know, pseudoscience, but the waves start to become like synced up. I think the same. Well, like if I'm drinking non-alcs, I'm able to just get my brain on a steaming level. And there's been a few times I've woke up with a hangover.
Really?
Wee phantom hangover, man. Just like that. My head's killing me the day, man. Like, just like, I don't even know what it is. Like, it can it be chemical? So it must just be mental.
Aye. Just on the heat.
Fucking mental.
Because a few of my pals, they were getting into their non-alcoholic beers, but I was kind of the opinion if I'm drinking, and I don't like the taste of beer, so I'm drinking to get drunk. But I thought non-alcoholic Copperberg might be different, because that's kind of like juice.
And people, I'll give people who don't like Copperberg, and they'll be like, this is nice. Have you got sponsors yet?
Nah, the fuck, 'cause this is the first one I've done. But it's
You've been busy,
you see, because I'm not at the 1K mark yet, and see, I think once you get, they don't fucking touch you until you're at the 1K mark yet. But nah, not yet.
Cool.
Obviously, hint, know what I mean? Some cunt must want to give me money or something, for fuck's sake, man.
Oh, fuck,
Fund this enterprise, pay my rent.
I had something I wanted to say. Oh, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, it's a
must
job, innit?
must
Happens.
not be authentic, man. But no, I hope you do, man. I'd love to hear you being like, this episode sponsored by Sleep Easy mattresses for the best sleep. I've been using my Sleep Easy mattress. Like, I'd love to hear
Maybe
you
a
doing
mattress,
that.
in fact. I let a cunt stay here when I was in the jail, and I think the cunt broke it, man. Broke it and left fucking period just so in it. Oh, you actually in the nick it, man.
Is it bogging?
It was. I had to scrub the thing. But I slept in it for a couple of nights. I was like, just out of jail like that. House was a riot. And I was just like, fucking, I cleaned it as much as I could. And I was like, fucking, I want to sit down. I'm just out the jail.
How was jail? Was that the first time you'd ever been?
No, this is a fucking third sentence I've done. The first time last time I got out, 2016. But I've done a few sentences. I've done about 4.5 years in jail. I added up. But since I was 17.
Got you in it.
It's only 3 sentences I've done. And the first one I got when I was 17, so I was young. Then I get a lot of recall. So see if you're out in license, you get to jail. See, you get like 4.5 years. I've done like 3 years. I was out in license for a year and a half. I was actually out for a 3.5 year license. So 3.5 years. If I done it and I was going back to finish that sentence, so something ended up happening. I was in a house 2015, and the guys end up getting fucking bust open or some shit like that. The police end up coming to the door. You know, I get to fuck, you're not getting in that. Barricading the door and all that shit. I just woke up to the squatter trying to put the door in. So I'm like, pricks are putting that door in because we're listening to music on a Sunday morning, and I'm just woke up steaming. So the squatter's trying to kick the door in, and I've ended up fucking, the doors end up getting whipped open, and I've been like, get to fuck on it. They've just went, grab Polter's down, dragged us to the ground, I'm rolling about with them and all that. They've ended up radioing for backup. Within about a minute, there was about 30 coppers in this landing. So I've been jailed, restrained, arms up the back, sorts and all that. And they've took us away. The 2 rows of coppers just lined up, just walked by them. I'm slaughtering them and all that. Taking down to the van. They forgot they didn't have the key for the van. I'm slaughtering them for that and all that shit. And they're taking us to the police station, and they went to the Rang police station. I'm like, fucking damn sure. This is a Sunday morning, like 8 in the morning. So I'm getting taken then, and we go to the fucking police station. I'm right to remain silent, no up here shouting, you fucking prick, that. The cunts are just looking at us. But I'm thinking I'm going to my work the next day. I'm thinking I'm getting out.
Yeah, it's been a fun
And they've
night.
came in, they've took my clothes and that off us, my shoes, gave us a mad grey tracking, a pair of sand shoes. And then the next day I've ended up thinking I'm getting out, and I've walked down the line, you've got a court. I was like, well, let's fucking go to court then. Feel big, just got me kicking off again. Shouting and bawling, then get taken to court. Then I seen a few cunts I was in the house with. So the court was like, fuck happened? Turns out when I get dragged out and taken away, the coppers have stormed the house. So fucking like this, it was Dunbrec flats, so it was like a high-rise flat. It's one of the flats you walk in and there's like the toilet and a bedroom, then you go downstairs.
Oh, go to bed, the freakiest things in the
So
world.
you go downstairs and there's a living room, the kitchen, and another bedroom.
No into it at all.
So they've ran down the stair and fucking into the living room. There's a wee guy there. He fucking he picked up an iron and layered one of the cotters with an iron.
Oh.
And he's ran in the bedroom, shut the door, and opened the patio door and flung the iron at the window, like 11 up, and pulled his trousers down, lay in the bed, kidded on him was sleeping. Cotters have ran in, just ragdolled him. And obviously they've jailed him. Then they've went to go and get the iron. So
right.
for the ground, so it's been flung at the window. And next to it, they found £2.5 a year. Somebody flung out the kitchen window. So the fun of this, so they've jailed about 3 other cunts. But this boy was telling me this, and I'm like, oh, juice are fucked. And then they went like, oh, use it. The cunts came in like, oh, use it on the same court. Use it all co-accused. We were all done, like fucking with all sorts of shit. So me and this another boy get remanded because we're previous, and the one cunt that flung the gear out the window and the boy that done the caught with iron, they got out in bail, and me and this other guy were done like breaches, we get taken up the Berlin. So I ended up getting a recall for that, and ended up time it went to court. It was like 3 weeks before my recall was finished, and I get it dropped. So that was the result. Then that was 2016. Then fucking this thing that happened back in 2018 February. I was mad with the gear doing daft shit, and ended up getting fucking a Stanley for in my bag.
Yeah.
And my previous, obviously, all this shit, it's fucked us.
It's built up.
But it was only 14 months ago. I could have got a lot longer. It was aye.
What's it like, man? Because obviously I've never, man. Like the best example I can give you is like growing up. I just always wanted to I wanted to be a good boy for everybody. So like I've got a real clear memory being in like primary 4. So we're talking like about 8-9 years old. I'm not like a wee Wayne, but I remember going up to my teacher and being like, "Excuse me, miss, may I please go to the bathroom, please?" Like just like, "Oh, is everything like, oh, like absolute gimp." So the idea of like when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, if I ever went to jail, like that would, like my records, you know, I'd feel like that was like the end of it all. I feel like I've been clean up to now. I've been living fantastic. But if I ever go to jail, that's it. Obviously, as an adult, I'm like, jail's just something that happens. But what was it been like?
I was the same, mate. See, when I was in primary, mate, I was a pure teacher's pet. I was every brain box. I used to pure do my work. I used to pure race cunts to see who could finish their work first.
That's
and all
the ADHD in you, man.
That was it. Then I was just getting to like second year, and I was like, fuck that shit, and just start bamming the teachers up and all that, and then just kind of turn into a bit of a fucking idiot. Then I just always hanging about fucking gang fighting and all that shit. Then I end up fucking carrying blades, and it never ends well. So that's just what happened for that. But aye, mate, it's like it's like fucking shite. It's no good. That time there especially was the hardest, man. See, because of that spice that's in the jails and all that. Never heard of that, legal high.
I've like no of it, but is that how? So it's in the jail?
I know, it's like people get it sent in. So it's like basically, what it started off, it was like legal high. So it was kind of like salve and that. They've started outlawing it. So cunts are just like fucking getting like fly spray or fish tank cleaner and spraying letters with it. And then they're sending the letters in, see somebody's got a letter like sent to them. And they're ripping bits of it off, and see, you can't smoke in the jails anymore, so it's all vapes.
Right.
They're ripping a bit of this paper off and sticking it in a vape and smoking it. And cunts are ending up fried. Cunts are going doolally with it. Cunts are like ending up. I was up the stair for the suicide cell. See, like if somebody tried to do their cell in, they get put underneath me. So I'd get woken up at like 3 in the morning, cunts screaming at their cell all night and that shit. Shite protests, fucking the lot, man, flooding the fucking cell out and all that shit. Madness. It was mad. It was like it was like been in fucking Leavenday or something.
Wow, that's wild, man.
Aye, it was. Well, that was the shortest sentence I've ever done. It was probably the hardest. So you just do all that shit, even the screws. It's just a pure different jail. So it was good.
Probably you being in a different mindset as well. Mentality, you'll have your shit today. How was it?
You know this as well. That's how I was like that. Fuck, because every other time I was like that. Fuck it. But this time I was like, I've actually got shit going for us. Plus the thing happened like 3.5 years ago, so I was kind of like that.
This wasn't even me that done it.
I thought it was going to get flung out because of COVID. Then it came but his nurse. I was like, fuck.
God, what was your coping methods for going through it?
Meditated and that, mate. See all the Wim Hof and that. I kept doing all that. That heavy helped because that heavy just put us in a pure mindset. I wish I did this in like previous sentences. Let's see, with the meditating that every hour, I used to always be like, oh, what am I doing as if I've not done any wrong, but I had, but just kidding myself on. But this one I was kind of like, right, I'm in here, just fucking go on with it.
Wow.
Don't let the crown get you down, as they say.
Yeah, mad fucking respect for sticking out 14 months, man. Like that.
Well, I only done 4, because I done it, it's a 14 month day 7, but I got out in the tag after 4, so that's how I'm in. I should be in the jail now.
Right.
So my sentence finishes on Christmas Eve, but I managed.
That's my birthday, man.
Is it? Aye.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing! Christmas Eve. You must have
man.
must have been shite, but for presents, huh?
Everybody says that, but it's for me. And obviously I'm biased because it's my birthday, but for me, it's the best day of the year to be born on. See the idea of being born on Christmas? You've not even really got a birthday, do you? Do you know what I mean? But for most people, the most important days, other than all the it's popular to enjoy Halloween and all that. You know, I love Halloween. It's my Christmas and all that. Fucking.
So you can dress up like a slut.
Get back on Tumblr, man. Tumblr's got a lot to answer for. But I remember the 20. So like most people, they enjoy the 25th and the 26th. That's 2 important days, and their birthday, some random point in the year. But for me, it's the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th are like the 3. They're my days. Do you know what I mean? It's my birthday, then it's Christmas, and then it's Boxing Day. So that run for me is like the best 3 days. And it's no 2 days. 2 days is alright, it's like a weekend, but for me that's like 3 days. Love it. And I've been in workplaces and I've said to them, in the interview, I don't work the 24th, 25th and 26th. And they'll be like, no bother. And then it comes round and they're like, we've got the rota, you get the 25th and 26th off, but you need to work 24th. And I've been like, I quit. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I quit. I don't work the 24th, 25th and 26th. They're like, well, you need to, and I'm like, well, I quit. They're like, you just gotta leave us in the shit at Christmas, and I'm like, yep, because I told you at the very start, I don't work 24th, 25th, 26th. I've left like 4 or 5 jobs.
Really?
Aye.
So 4 or 5 jobs have tried to get you to make it, even though you fucking.
I tell them very early on. I say very early on, I go, I don't. When they say, have you got any holidays or anything? I go, I don't work the 24th, 25th, and 26th. And in the interview, they're always like, all right, but they don't really care.
Aye.
But then by the time it comes up, they're like, well, you need to, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like I know, see everybody's like quitting their jobs, like the great mass quit and all that. Man, I've been living that life for years. Soon as any troubles ever popped up in a job, like you need to, I'm off, I'm away. Guess I'm lucky that I've had like my family and that I can turn to and be, you know, I've always had somewhere to stay in that. I guess if it was like different lifestyle, it'd be different stuff. But,
Aye.
And the other thing I always think is like my mom works in a therapist's office, so I've been going to therapy for I was 18. That's been a gift, man. It's been a blessing. But I think it's just trying to make the most of what I've got, and I don't know if like whenever you do use what you've got, you feel guilty. So like people who grow up with money, they always feel guilty for people that don't have money. People who grow up with patter, they always feel sorry for people that've got no patter. But you know, everybody's got a different path. You know, so I try to make the best of it. Don't know where I was going with that. I'm going to leave it at that.
No, it was a good note to finish on. Good note to finish on, mate.
Oh, happy.
Amazing.
Nah, just end it here.
Well, Trips, it was good having it back. Taryam Boyd. Thank you, my man.
Mate, that's the thing, mate. I've changed my name.
What too?
I am Taryam.
Taryam.
That's my real name.
See, people used to say to me Taryam, and I thought it was Taryam, and I just thought it's one of the things. It's how you read it. Is that some people just.
I have been deliberately saying Taryam for years because I wanted to make it easier for people. But now I don't give a fuck.
So is that actually how you say it, Taryam?
That's how my family say my name, is like Taryam. So that's my real name.
Taryam. I like Taryam better.
Me too, man.
It's got a bit more ethnic.
Taryam.
A bit more ethnic. I say Taryam. Taryam's dead. You can hear the Scottish Taryam.
Aye.
But Taryam, it's not really.
It's Taryam, man. So I say Taryam was the character that I was playing up to this point, and for here on it, Taryam Boyd.
That's it. Taryam Boyd. You've heard it for the man himself.
Pleasure to be doing
Thank
this,
you,
mate.
my man.
Thank you,